it's Jenna, and today I'll be talking to you about how to afford to study abroad while in college. I feel like studying abroad is something that is on everyone's college bucket list, but I know it can be kind of daunting because it seems like it would be really expensive. And it's something that can be really expensive, but hopefully I'll be teaching you how you can afford to study abroad with these tips. So my first tip is to pick a program that fits your needs and your budget's needs. So pick a program that you're going to be excited to do. So it's a destination that you're interested in and also a course that you're interested in. And I think those two things are equally important because you are going to be spending a decent amount of your time abroad in the actual classroom and doing homework. So I think it's important that you enjoy both the place and the course. And that was definitely something I thought about when studying abroad. It was something that was important to me. So that will help you narrow down your programs to suit your interests. Another important aspect of choosing what study abroad program you want to do is the time, because this is what's really going to help you cut down on the cost. It is cheaper to go during the spring or the fall semester rather than the summertime because your financial aid that you're getting is already going to be during that time. You have to apply for summer aid, but for fall and spring aid, you're already getting that through the FAFSA, which you have already filled out. And that's an expectation that you're going to school during those semesters. So summer is a little bit different. Another reason why studying abroad during the spring or the fall would be cheaper is because you could do an exchange program. With the exchange program, you can be paying your tuition at the selected university or community college that you're at and be paying that rate of tuition rather than the foreign school's rate of tuition, which can be cheaper. And also, something I would suggest is just going to talk to some of the people that work at the study abroad office at your school and just asking them what's available for your price range, because I think they'll definitely be willing to work with you. Next up is talking a little bit more about scholarships. You definitely can get loans. You could take out a loan through your school or through a bank if you want. I know once I applied to a study abroad program and got accepted, they automatically just kind of like gave me a loan once they had reviewed for my summer financial aid, and that was an option I could have used. And I'm sure it's one that you can use if you talk to your school about that. But paying with a loan was something I really wasn't interested in. I'm already paying so much for college and have regular college loans, and I didn't want to do that for the summer as well. So I made it my personal goal to make sure I could go to this trip debt-free and just have it all paid for in advance and not have to worry about it. Because I wanted to have fun on my trip and it be a stress-free trip besides the regular academic stress. So I didn't really take out a loan, so I'm not going to talk about that too much because I don't have experience with it, but that's something you could look into if you're interested in. I mostly focused on scholarships. Scholarships for study abroad were way easier for me than actual scholarships for my college tuition. I would say if you really want to get your study abroad paid in full, I would focus on scholarships. That's what I decided to do. I applied for 2 study abroad scholarships and 1 college scholarship, just a general scholarship for attending a college. And I did get those 2 for the study abroad, and I'm still waiting to hear back from the 3rd one. I would say narrow down your search at first to just study abroad scholarships because I feel like those are easier to get because you're narrowing down the pool from college students to college students who are studying abroad. So I feel like those are easier to get because you're going to have less competition. And to narrow it down even further, I would look at study abroad scholarships through your school. So that's a lot smaller pool of people who are going to apply, and that's how I got my scholarships. Both of the scholarships were through my school. If you look on your school's study abroad website, they should have scholarships that you can apply to there. If not, there are quite a few scholarship search engines that you can look at. I know FastWeb is one that I've signed up for. I think Unigo is one. I'll link some in the description below that you can check out. You can even Google college study abroad scholarships. I'm sure there are like billions of links that will pop up to help you find scholarships. And so that's what helped me pay for most of my trip was scholarships. Another thing that can help you with cutting down on costs for study abroad is looking at cheap flights. So booking a flight that isn't going to be a lot of money is really important. So what I saved around $400 on my flight. They had estimated that my flight would have been $1,500, but I got it down to almost $1,000, and I still got a reputable company. I did this by checking out flights from cheapoair.com. You can also use Kayak, Skyscanner, stuff like that. There are tons of flight search engines that you can look at. You can also use Scott's Cheap Flights, because I know that's useful. It's basically, I just have the free version. Someone who is also studying abroad with me recommended it to me, and it's just, it's basically, think of Scott's, it's kind of hard for me to explain, but it's basically like you put in where you're from and where you're interested in having flights to, and then it will tell you, and it will just notify you via email when there are cheap flights. That's something you can look into as well. But it's not as specific, because with the free membership, at least, you can look into getting a premium membership. But so that's something you could look into as well, is Scott's Cheap Flights. I'll link that down below as well, because that's interesting. And that could be useful for when trying to find flights from your study abroad location to if you want to do weekend trips. What I did is just, I kept an eye on the flights. I looked at CheapOair. I also looked at other sites, and other sites did have it for cheaper, but the reason I booked with CheapOair is because they had a cheap flight with the company that I knew was reliable. Another thing that I did is I looked at different airports. So I have 2 airports in my area that I'd be willing to drive to, and one was significantly cheaper than the other. I think it saved me about $100 for flying out the airport I'm flying out rather than the other one. So look at airports around you as well, and airports around your study abroad location that you could use, and just doing that will help cut down on your airplane ticket costs, which can be a significant portion of your study abroad costs. Another thing to do is budgeting in advance how much money you will need and how much money you'll be spending abroad. So factoring in tuition, factoring in if you have to pay your program through what you're studying abroad, like if they have like a fee charging you for selecting the program, paying for meals, how much that's going to cost, your airline ticket, if you have to buy a passport, how much is that going to cost, how much are you going to spend on clothes or souvenirs. Budgeting all that in advance will help you from spending way over your budget while you're studying abroad. I think this is useful to plan in advance how much you want to spend, so that you don't go crazy once you're over at your location. So lastly is just to be mindful of your expenses. Like, would you rather spend money on souvenirs, or would you rather spend money on your experience? And by that I mean, would you rather spend money on something you can take home, or clothes, stuff like that? Or would you rather spend money going to a museum or going on a bus tour, stuff like that? Just think about that in advance, about where your money's going, which goes along with budgeting. So just be mindful of your expenses, and you can cut down on that. You may want to get a taste of the cuisine in your country that you're studying abroad in, but be mindful about where you're going to do that. If you're around places that get a lot of tourists, like the Eiffel Tower or the London Bridge, there's probably going to be a lot of touristy places who are going to upcharge you because they know they're getting tourists there who are willing to pay the money, or who do not know that there are cheaper places around the corner or across the street, stuff like that. So be mindful when you're out of how much money you're spending, because I feel like a lot of money could be gone spending on food when you could be making money when you could be buying groceries and making food in your apartment. Just be mindful. I would say having a balance of not spending too much money on going crazy, and also not spending any money at all, and not having anything to take home with you, or not having fun and enjoying your experience because you're worried about budgeting. I hope that was informative. If you have any other questions, let me know, and if you like the video, give it a thumbs up and subscribe if you'd like. Thank you guys for watching. I'll see you in my next video. Bye.